Okay, Minorcan Navy, here we go. May 31st, 2024, up at the Francis Scott Key Bridge site. And we saw Donjon finally get this piece of the span up and moved. This was over a 500-ton piece of the span, very large. Half of the capacity of the Chesapeake 1000 of its lifting capability. This was quite a load. You can see the rigging there, that heavy chain. But we were able to get some pretty good images today as the Fort Armistead Park has reopened in Baltimore, and it gave us a fantastic vantage point for the activities on this lift. Activities still going on with breaking up the roadbed. See that mighty weight falling off the crane in the background. We've seen that in the past. Typically what goes on, they drop that weight there, they break it up, and then they will bring in the Dale Pyatt dredge barge with that mighty 60-yard capacity, cubic yard capacity clamshell, and they will dig out that material and put it on a barge and transport it away. But this piece of the span has been giving Donjon a little bit of a fight over the past few days. We've heard reports from the subscribers here on the channel that they saw the piece come up, go down, go up, go down. Well, today was the day that they succeeded in getting this piece up. Now I want you guys to notice there, right in the barge, there's a small skiff. It's got some guys working there, and they have a torch. And we're going to see those guys trim away a few pieces here that still were causing some problems for the lift. And this was the final part of getting this piece of the span up. It's pretty interesting to watch the process. You see them in the background there, and we're going to see the torch go to work as they start working on just some smaller pieces that were kind of hanging down, maybe causing some headaches for the Donjon group. But once they got the pieces cut, you're going to see them. They're going to cut. They're going to drop the span back down, and they'll come back and they'll cut some more. It's an interesting process of how they do this, how they cut, and then I guess they drop it down to break off those pieces and then lift it back up. And it didn't take long before they had this thing freed up. This was a process that took, we got up there probably around 9 o'clock in the morning and got set up for the shots. And then by 11:30, they were on their way back over to the Trade Point Atlantic area with the piece. So this really did not take that long for them to do. Now, understand there was a lot of prep work that went into this. They've been on this thing for some days now to get it picked up. But it was a mighty sight to see. Who doesn't enjoy seeing a tugboat? A really neat shot here of the Chesapeake 1000, and you can see the tower very clearly where the operator has the controls for the crane for the lift, and that vantage point that he has there for visibility is superb. Now after the crews got through cutting, they lowered that piece back down in the water. And of course, we sped this up so you guys can really appreciate and see how it settles back down as it finds the riverbed. And then they brought it right back up. And I think what they were doing is they were cutting those pieces, not really maybe all the way through, but just cutting them enough where they could get back away from it. And then they lowered it down and used the weight of the span to break those pieces off. And I think that's what's going on here, because the guys are, they're cutting right up against that thing, and it may be that they don't want to cut all the way through it, in case there's something that's hung up or may cause that span to kind of jump around. That's just me thinking from a safety point of view. But then they continue to bring it up, and they look at it and inspect it. Now it's going to go back down, and they bring the skiff back in and do some more work. Traffic continues to move in Baltimore. This is a great sight to see. Not only do we have a barge outbound, we've got one inbound as well. There you can see the crews back with the torch, back in that skiff, working the site there, working that piece of span. And what's really neat about this vantage point from being able to see this, you can kind of start to understand it's not just as simple as throwing some chains around the piece of metal and snatching it up out of the water. It's just not the way it works. Not only do you have to get the piece up, but you got to get the piece up where you can handle it once it gets back over to Trade Point Atlantic. Great shot there of Moran towing with their pumps, their fire pumps. It looks like they were doing a little testing. Pretty neat sight. But after they finished this part of the cutting, they kind of moved out of the way. And then we see that piece come back up, and we do not see anything else that's attached to it. It is free, and it is clear, and it is ready to be transported. And we were really close to the site here from this spot, and it was very impressive to see this piece of span, this huge piece, and not only that, but the size of the Chesapeake as well. This whole thing being maneuvered around by the tugboats and start the transit back over to Trade Point Atlantic area, over by the old steel plant, where they'll continue to break it down and get it ready for its trip to the recycler. Now there are a few more pieces to be picked up, it looks to me, that are still visible from the top of the water. And what's left is down low. So the challenge is still there for Donjon Marine to finish the salvage of the bridge. But they are making some incredible headway. The channel is opened up for ship traffic to get back through. It's not as wide. It's not as wide as the original channel was between the spans, but it is open to the point that they can get traffic in and out of the port now. That is a massive feat that they have been able to accomplish. Still a little more work to do. They're going to get it finished, but from what we have seen here over the past couple months, this has been an incredible adventure to watch. We're so glad that you guys could come along with us and be able to see some of this. Well, Minorcan Navy, thanks so much again for spending some time here with us on the channel. We hope that you guys have enjoyed the video and taken a look at the process as it's been ongoing up in Baltimore with not only Donjon here at the Francis Scott Key Bridge, but Resolve as well. Remember, they are still in the process of preparing the dolly to be sent out for repairs to that ship from the damage when the bridge fell on it. It's got a little ways to go, and this process is going to be continuing, and we're going to continue to bring you guys the images as we can get them collected. Thanks again for joining us. We're going to ask if you haven't done it yet, click on that subscribe link. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us some comments if you don't mind. We'd appreciate that. And as always, we want to say, hey, you guys be safe out there.